We've got dog. Hi, I'm Steve from PixelBump. Welcome to another edition of ProTalk Words. Today our words are... There's not enough fanfare in that. Let's do that one more time. Today our words are... So this is the companion to last week, where I want to round out the business end. And that is something that I think very few of us want to deal with. We all got into this business because we want to create things and make things and do fun stuff. And very quickly you realize that you have to be a business, that you are a business, I am a business, we are all a business together, and it's not fun, but it's something we have to be. The first thing I want to talk about is contracts. They're necessary for doing business. It is a good idea that yourself and your clients and your employers, everybody's on the same page, and a contract helps spell all that out. Now, normally you're not going to get full contracts as a freelancer. The bare minimum you want to get in writing when you take on a job are your start date, your end date, what your expected duties are, and what you're going to be paid during the course of the project. By doing that, you make sure that your expectations and the expectations of either your employer or client are all on the same page. So that way, when you get to the end, there's no misunderstanding. Nobody can say, well, I thought I was giving you this, or you say, I thought I was only working that. Just remember, this still is a business, and the clearer your communication is, the better off you're going to be in the end. Next up are invoices. If you've only ever held a regular 9-to-5 job where you punch in and punch out, maybe as a waiter or working in retail, you've never had to deal with this before. But in this business, especially as a freelancer, you're going to need to send out invoices every week. There are different services online that'll help you do this. You can use FreshBooks or Zoho or Invoice2Me. You can use a pre-made template out of Microsoft Office. Personally, I use Apple's spreadsheet program Numbers, and I access it either through my iPad or through the web interface of iCloud. This gives me the ability to change and update my invoices wherever I am, download PDFs, and send them to clients. And to keep track, I use a simple 2-folder system, paid and unpaid. All my new invoices are put into the unpaid folder, and the minute a check comes in, that invoice gets taken out, put into the paid folder. It's dead simple. It keeps everything clear. So at the end of the year, I have a folder showing me everything that I've made, and I've got a folder that's always showing me what I can expect, so I can plan my budget accordingly. And since we're talking about invoices, let's also talk about pay schedules. Now, I can only talk about pay schedules here in America because that's my experience, but I have a feeling most places are going to be pretty similar. And the pay schedule can really vary based on the company. Some companies like to pay on the 1st and the 15th of every month. Some companies prefer to pay every 2 weeks. But what I have found most common is what's called net 30 and net 45. And all that means is from the moment you've turned in an invoice, your client or employer has 30 or 45 days to pay it. So if I've turned in an invoice on October 1st, under net 30, they have until October 31st to pay it. If it's under net 45, they have until about November 14th. This is a good question that can be cleared up in the contract phase. Spelling out when you're expected to invoice and when that invoice will be paid ends up clearing up a lot of communication and makes sure that there's no tension while working on the job. And finally, there's always taxes. Now, here in the States, if you're a full-time or part-time employee at a place, most likely you're working under what's called a W-2. What that means is that the payroll service will end up taking out federal, state, Social Security taxes before you get your money. So at the end of the year, all you have to figure out is, did you pay into it enough, or does the government owe you money? But once you become a freelancer, the game completely changes. You work under something called a 1099. And what that means is that the invoice that you send out is exactly the money that you're going to get back. If you have invoiced for $2,000 over a project, they will give you exactly the $2,000, and you are expected to deal with the tax implications on your own. What I've found the best thing to do is to take 25% of whatever I make and push it over into a savings account. Get it out of my checking so I don't think I can spend it. Then at the end of the year, I have money set aside to pay the taxes. If you think that freelancing is really a thing for you, a good idea is to find a nice accountant that you can get along with. They're going to really help you when it comes to the end of the year tax situation. There are a lot of things that as a freelancer in this business you can write off, and there are a lot of things that if you write off, they become red flags for the IRS. So make sure that your tax person understands working with freelancers in this field. All right, I think we've kind of covered the basics of the business of this business. Hopefully this clears up some questions you might have had about how this all works. If you have any other questions, you can go ahead and hit me up on either Twitter or Facebook or in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Go and create.